Hey everybody, it's Jason McLaren with the Leadership Loading Podcast, and today we're talking about leadership and living in alignment with JAMIN HEPPELL. He's a co-creator and a leadership coach with Mountains and Marathons. I've been doing a little bit of the pre-show research with their website and looking around, and very interested in what they're doing over there. They believe that the world needs leaders who live in alignment, like we're talking about, and leaders that have inner peace and as their birthright and creators. So tons of experience here in working on wisdom and journeys and building their aligned leadership program, which we'll talk about, and what they're doing over there at Mountains and Marathons. So Jamin, welcome to the show.
So good, Jason. It's exciting to be here.
Definitely. So yeah, start, tell us a little about yourself, how you got where you're at today, and we'll go from there.
So good. Yeah, so I grew up in a little country town in southeast Victoria in Australia. And for me, leadership was always a really core part of my upbringing. So alongside sport and health and fitness. And so, even from the age of 12, be that house captain, football captain, debate team captain, all the way through to school captain when I was in year 12. And my journey in leadership continued into my early 20s when I started a nonprofit initiative called Game Changers, where we'd focus on working with grassroots sporting clubs to be a source of social change across Australia. So I'd work with teenagers in developing their leadership skills so that way they could be a positive influence in their local sporting clubs. And I continued in the non-for-profit path all the way through into my mid to late 20s. And at the age of 26, I found myself in deep burnout. The way that I kind of described it's like I was addicted to service. So much of my world was about giving. And the thing was, externally, things look really pretty. I was being celebrated with awards and magazines and lots of public social recognition for the great work that I was doing for the community. But behind the scenes, I was actually really struggling. And so it was in the middle of July of 2016 when I had a pretty big breakdown. Had my hands, bawling my eyes out, just letting it all go and, feeling pretty sorry for myself. And on that evening, after about 3 hours of catharsism, I had a simple but profound epiphany. I recognized that everything that I was enduring, all of my suffering was my own creation. Like I created this mess. And so then I realized, I was like, well, if I created all of this, then I can create my way out of it. And so then I asked myself the question, okay, well, if I could be doing anything with my life right now, what would I actually be doing? And then it hit me in an instant. I was like, I'd be running marathons, climbing mountains, traveling the world, transforming my life and working out some way to help other people do the same. So that night I spent another 3 hours downloading the vision, which became the essence and the core of Mountains and Marathons, which is the company that I now run with my business partner, Jenny. We've been leading Mountains and Marathons for the last 5 years. And in essence, it is about facilitating deep journeys of powerful interpersonal and leadership transformation for people who have an adventurous spirit and really want to take their life and leadership in a personal and professional context to the next level.
Definitely. And you talked about the addicted to service. I think a lot of my counterparts and myself can kind of lean onto that and say what we've done throughout our careers, especially with the listeners being former military or active military or first responders. That's our whole life, right? We serve and that's what we thrive on. And especially in the first responder realm where you're out there every day putting out fires or catching criminals. You get that little bit of adrenaline rush, and so you kind of get that dopamine hit, and you get addicted to it, and you want to do it again. And I've been in that field. I was in that field for 7 years before I transitioned, and in the civilian world, I kind of say, do I want to go back and be a volunteer firefighter, or do I want to go do volunteer for whatever disaster response, so I can get that hit again, and I'm lucky that in my civilian world, I get to serve in a different way and still get that service, but also get my, balance, my work-life balance. And like you guys talk about living in alignment, so I'm not just always working to work and get that hit. So.
Absolutely. And I mean, a big core of what you're speaking about there too is about establishing and discovering for yourself what that most aligned lifestyle and balanced lifestyle looks like for you. And so a big part of the way in which we work is really invite in a deep inner inquiry into what is working and what's not working in your life. And so if we look at the theme of alignment, really, when we look at what's working, well, then what we want to do is look at, okay, how do we continue to amplify more of what's working and what's good, and then do a deep dive into the areas that feel out of balance, that feel misaligned, that feel like they're not working, so that we can kind of get underneath what's at the source of that, so we can have a transformation from the root, and then obviously bring the entirety of one's life into alignment.
Definitely. And so you guys, one of your taglines is daring to dream, for mission-driven entrepreneurs. And so I think a lot of people moving into maybe they're moving into their next career or their next business endeavor, they dream, but I think that their dare is not as strong as it should be. And they, you always see these people, oh, I'm going to start a business, or I'm going to do this entrepreneurship thing. And, they just jump in and try to do it and have no plan, no backing, no infrastructure. So how do you guys work with that and try to make sure that fire stays kindled, and that they're actually keep moving forward?
Yeah, beautiful question. So I think there's a couple of themes here that you're speaking into. One is, well, first and foremost, having that vision and having that dream, having clarity around that, that's part one. Because without that, it's kind of like, where am I actually going? So speaking to the entrepreneurs listening, I mean, having clarity on that vision that's key. And the next piece is then having the courage, right? Like having the courage to actually take that leap, to pivot from the 9 to 5, or pivot from the stock standard kind of road that's been paved already, and stepping into your own thing. That takes real courage. So honoring anybody who's willing to A, claim clarity on a vision, and then B, take courage to get after it, because that is a core part of living into our biggest lives and biggest potential. But I think the third part that's important to speak on here is, it's one thing to step into something alone and slog it alone, and then kind of fumble and fail forwards and potentially come to the place of burnout, versus actually being willing to invest in guidance, coaching, and leadership. Because there are so many lessons that have already been learned by people before us, that if we're willing to be humble and be a student and listen and take action in alignment with people who kind of have a greater vantage point and a deeper understanding of what it is that we're stepping into, that can be an investment that returns 10x, 100x, 1000x, and saves so much time. And so that's probably the third piece that I'll speak into around this, is have clarity on the vision, have the courage to get after it, and then have the humility to be willing to trust, to have trusted guides helping you make the right moves, the right changes, to be able to support you to live into your potential as fast as possible, and support you to have the tools to be able to continue doing that even beyond the end of a coaching engagement or a coaching agreement.
Yeah, definitely. And we were talking before recording that I come from Alaska, so lots of mountains up there, obviously, and doing that engagement into, taking engagement into nature, and kind of speaking to that, taking past that already laid ahead of you. They have a small mountain called Flat Top Mountain, and actually has, I can't remember if it's paved or if it's just a very groomed path to go up, and it's very gradual increase. So a lot of people will go hike that one because it's 6 or 8 feet wide, very slow pace. You can hike up it in 2 hours or so. So myself, I took that one, and I'd pack all my camping gear like I'm going on a 20-mile hike, and I'd pack all that in and practice on that hill because it's groomed and there's a lot of people there. And, if something failed, it's easy for me to retreat back and go, recoup, and, okay, this didn't work, or this piece of equipment I have is not going to work on this long hike. I can practice on that groomed and paved trail, and then take all that into the woods when I'm doing those 20-mile hikes through, ungroomed areas, and make sure that when I get to that, 20 miles in the wood in bear country, all my stuff's going to work and I don't have to worry about it. All right, let's talk about Aligned Leadership Program. So you've got Aligned Leadership, and you got another program we'll talk about in a second, but let's start off with Aligned Leadership, what it is. And I like the way you guys got it set up. I'll let you explain it better than me.
Yeah, beautiful. So the core of Mountains and Marathons is about supporting people to live into their deepest level of alignment. And so the primary program that we facilitate to support people to do this is our Aligned Leadership Program. And so in essence, it's a 6-month holistic transformational leadership development program that graduates with you climbing a mountain or running a marathon with an incredible community of people who you've co-journeyed with across the course of the 6 months to graduate and consolidate your program. And so, for example, we run programs that complete with a climb up Mount Kilimanjaro or Everest Base Camp or a marathon in Patagonia or Hawaii or Cape Town, South Africa, all of these incredible places around the world. And how it's structured, and the reason why we design it this way, is that across the course of the 6 months is all of our members receive structured, so 3 sessions a month is group coaching sessions, which is where Jenny and I facilitate the leadership curriculum and guide you through the specific homework that's setting you up to step into deeper levels of alignment. In addition to that, you receive 2 individual coaching sessions per month to support the individual nature of your program, because everybody, even though we have a set process and curriculum that supports everyone to come into deeper levels of alignment, everyone is unique and distinct in navigating their own personal and professional things. And so the individual coaching ensures that your journey is tailored specifically towards you and that you've always got the support that you need. In addition to that, for many people, they're running a marathon or climbing a mountain for the first time and are seeking a transformation in their health. So we incorporate structured fitness coaching and nutrition coaching, who's led by our coaches, Cindy and Pamela. So Cindy takes care of the fitness coaching and Pamela takes care of the nutrition coaching. And these 2 incredible women have been supporting us and being a part of Mountains and Marathons for the last years and really are experts in the nature of health transformation. So with the combination of myself, Jen, Cindy, and Pamela, the 4 of us work with each member to facilitate this holistic journey of transformation that then ultimately culminates in this exciting and epic graduation event, which looks like climbing a mountain or running a marathon somewhere epic in the world. And one of the most incredible things we find about the program is that it really does attract people with that hunger and that spirit for adventure, as well as a desire to improve themselves. And so when we bring these characteristics together, the sense of community and like-mindedness that's fostered and the depths of community that's established inside the Mountains Marathons community is really inspiring. One of the most special things that everyone takes away from the experience, beyond having fundamentally transformed their life from the inside out, and be able to walk away with an incredible story to tell, having summited a mountain or ran a marathon for the first time.
And that's a great goal to work to, and you can use that to once, like we're talking about, keep that fire going. If you got somebody coaching you every month and you're somebody checking in on you, that's a good way to get to that goal at the end. And then that rolls into your masterpiece program.
Exactly, yeah. So our level 2 program is our masterpiece program, and really that's about taking the distinctions and leadership coaching of the Aligned Leadership Program to the next level. So the Aligned Leadership Program is really all centered around self, our own personal leadership, living in alignment for me, my own integrity. And then masterpiece is then really looking at how do we now take this wisdom, take this inner transformation, and be able to support the people who I'm closest to in a personal and professional context, and translate these lessons and learnings to be able to impact my broader community. So it continues to be an organic pathway to expand influence and expand leadership beyond self and start impacting others on a deeper level.
Awesome. And so, and like you mentioned earlier, you're from Australia, and so
Yeah.
you're definitely running all this from down there. Do you see any kind of difficulties with the time differences? Like, do you have like U.S. clients that they can't be as involved because I think you guys are like 16 hours ahead of us or something?
Yeah, nice. Well, I've actually been traveling for the last 4.5 years. And so I haven't been home for about 3 years. Most of my time is spent in Central America, South America, North America, Europe, and a little bit of Africa. And so time zone wise, obviously, that's one of the logistical things we navigate as coaches, and considering I've lived in 45 different countries in the last 4.5 years, that is on our end. We certainly optimize our programs to suit the American time zones, the US time zones. And that's just part of the deal. Is I'm always structuring my life to ensure that anyone who I'm coaching comes first, and that their schedule is set up so it works for them. And then obviously I'm accountable and ensuring that I'm maintaining a healthy level of balance as I continue in different adventures around the world as well.
And as a mentee, if you're in these coaching programs, you have to put some effort also and carve your schedule out. I know I've been in some of these programs where I just got to block the time and make sure I'm there, and otherwise it doesn't benefit you. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that's one of the things too, is, the nature of the Aligned Leadership Program is it's an investment. time, our three key resources, time, money, and energy. But for those who are willing, not to move beyond the podcast and move beyond the books and move beyond, the occasional seminar here and there, but are actually willing to go all in, 2 feet fully in, that's when real transformation can happen. And so it's why the nature of the program is it's very intensive. But it's also the reason why we get such incredible results, is because we do demand a lot of those who participate. And yet, just like the old saying goes, what you put in is what you get out. So, there's no apology for the significance of the investment from time, money, and energy, but one that's obviously for the right people. It's absolutely the right fit and something that they reflect upon and choose to remain a part of because of the nature of the impact that it has on their life.
All right, JAMIN, if you had one leadership tip, what would it be for someone?
To begin with, start with clarity. So start with getting real clarity on who you're inspired to be in the world as a leader, as a husband, as a wife, as a father. Get clarity on your vision for what that looks like. From that place, it's then looking at what is the next best step for me to be living more congruent with that vision that I've created for myself, which is exactly where the Aligned Leadership Program starts. It starts with your most inspiring vision for your life and the possibility that you are for the world. And then we work to get into deeper alignment from there.
Awesome. Yeah, and I mean, like we were talking about earlier, if you're starting a business or getting into one of these programs, you've got to have that alignment. You've got to have buy-in from your family and all them, because it's going to take a little time away from them. I've done yellow belt classes and other leadership classes where, every Monday night, 7 to 8, I'm, on the computer with my coach and doing all that. And if they're not supporting you, then they're going to be, looking over your shoulder and saying, hey, you missed dinner or you missed this. So like we talked about, that investment's very important. So
bingo.
All right. How can we get a hold of you if you want to check out the program or find some more information out?
Yeah, amazing. So easiest place to find out more about the Aligned Leadership Program is going to mountainsandmarathons.world. So that's mountainsmarathons.world. And if you want to follow along my personal journey and be able to get some additional tips on living in deeper alignment and expanding your leadership, you can follow me on Instagram at JAMIN HEPPELL, or Facebook. You'll also find me at JAMIN HEPPELL as well.
All right. We'll put all those links in the show notes below.
So good.
Thanks, JAMIN. Thanks for coming on the show.
Welcome. Awesome, Jason. It was great to connect.
There are thousands of leadership and management podcasts to choose from. We're glad you chose the Leadership Loading Podcast, a Go Heroes production. If you'd like to support Go Heroes Inc., visit www.goheroes.org. And with that, it's time to wrap up today's show. Thank you so much for listening. We sincerely hope you liked it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this podcast with your family and friends. Let's all grow together. Thanks for listening to the Leadership Loading Podcast. Leadership Inspired.